I never imagined my stepfather's hand connecting with my face would be the moment his entire world began to crumble. The impact sent me stumbling into the heavy mahogany table, pain exploding across my cheek as crystal shattered and red wine sprayed like accusation across the silk wallpaper. Gasps echoed through the room full of New York's elite, business partners, council members, even our family attorney, who had known my late father. But in that frozen second, as Damien Cross towered over me with fists clenched and veins bulging at his temples, I saw not just rage, but the first crack in the fortress he'd built over 8 years. My name is Sophia Reynolds, 31 years old, and as a forensic accountant at Vanguard Financial Investigations in Manhattan, I'd spent years unraveling complex schemes involving shell companies, offshore transfers, and creative accounting that hid millions. None of that prepared me for discovering the fraud happening right under my roof in our sprawling penthouse overlooking Central Park. Damien had married my mother, Evelyn, 7 years earlier, sweeping in during her grief after my father's sudden heart attack. He promised stability, security, the kind of life my father, a respected real estate visionary, had worked toward. Instead, Damien turned Cross Realty Ventures from a modest firm into a $280 million powerhouse specializing in luxury commercial developments across New York and New Jersey. The house itself felt oppressive despite its marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows. Damien's success hung heavy like the crystal chandeliers, his booming laugh dominating every gathering while my mother watched him with devoted eyes. I noticed the small tells others missed, the way his smile tightened when I discussed my audits, how conversations shifted whenever I asked about specific properties. The home office door always locked even from my mother. 3 weeks earlier, while helping Mom sort old files for their anniversary gala, I found a folder labeled Montgomery Family Trust, Confidential. My father's trust, meant to secure my future and my younger brother Ethan's education. The statements didn't match what Damien had claimed for years. He described it as modest, barely covering tuition. But these papers listed waterfront parcels I'd never heard of, massive stock holdings, and suspicious withdrawals post-dating my father's death, all signed off by Damien as trustee. My hands shook as I photographed every page on my phone, stomach twisting with betrayal. That night at dinner, I tested him carefully, voice steady over seared tuna. Damien, about Dad's trust. The statements seem off. Could we go over them together sometime? The table fell quiet. Mom's fork hovered. Damien's eyes narrowed briefly before his practiced charm returned. Sophia, honey, these matters are complex. That's why I handle them. Focus on your career instead of stirring unnecessary doubt. But I pressed. It's my inheritance. I deserve transparency. His tone sharpened. What you deserve is trust in family. Questioning us disappoints everyone. Mom squeezed my hand, pleadingly. He's been so good to us. Soph. Why rock the boat? The next days blurred into suspicion. At work, using secure databases, I traced Cross Realty's records. Offshore accounts in the Caymans and Cyprus. Phantom projects like the unbuilt Hudson Yards expansion that somehow consumed $22 million in costs, layered shell companies routing funds back to Damien personally. It painted a picture of systematic laundering and embezzlement totaling around $85 million beyond my trust. I needed allies. James Harlan, our longtime family lawyer and my father's old friend, seemed safest. He wasn't on Damien's payroll and had attended the will reading. The gala night was meant to celebrate Damien's latest acquisition, a prime midtown tower deal. Champagne flowed. Laughter echoed as city officials mingled. James sat nearby with his legal pad. Heart hammering. I stood during contract talks. Damien, where is the missing $45 million from my father's trust? The documents show unauthorized transfers and forged approvals. Silence crashed down. Mom's glass slipped, shattering. Damien's face flushed crimson. How dare you accuse me in my home? He hurled his wine glass against the wall, red streaks dripping. I housed you, fed you, treated you like blood, and you repay me with lies. Guests shifted uncomfortably. I held my ground. The records are clear, offshore accounts. Shell transfers. He advanced, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. You think your auditor tricks impress me? I built this city. You're nothing but ungrateful. His open hand cracked across my face again before James's voice sliced through. That's enough.
Damien.
Release her now. James stood. Phone recording. Expression steel. This is assault witnessed by everyone here. Combined with Sophia's claims, it suggests fraud and breach of duty. Damien shoved me back. You're fired from any family matters. James replied coolly. You can't fire a witness to a crime. Board members and officials excused themselves hastily, avoiding eye contact. Damien roared after them. Mom sobbed in her chair. James photographed my swelling cheek and arm bruises, then urged me to leave for safety at a friend's place. He made a fatal mistake tonight, James murmured as he walked me out. Showing violence in front of credible witnesses who know exactly how to use it. I left believing I'd lost my home and family, but something in James's steady gaze hinted otherwise. Back at my friend Lena's apartment in Chelsea, the adrenaline faded into throbbing pain and cold fury. 3 days later, my face bore a vivid purple bruise makeup couldn't fully conceal, but physical discomfort paled against the fire driving me. At Vanguard's empty offices past midnight, screens glowed with damning data. Damien's scheme was sophisticated. Fake renovations on paper-only projects, inflated contractor payments to ghost entities, funds cycled through intermediaries before landing in personal accounts. The pattern used consistent encryption flaws I exploited over 6 hours, tracing $85 million laundered plus my $45 million trust theft. Cross Realty Ventures operated like a massive washing machine for dirty money. My phone rang, James. We met at his firm's conference room. He looked weary but resolute, spreading documents including my father's original will. Your dad intended nearly $90 million in the trust. Full control at 30. Damien delayed and siphoned for 2 years past that. Worse, he was preparing incompetency filings to seize permanent control. I felt ice in my veins. The assault actually weakened Damien legally with multiple witnesses. James proposed a full takedown, recover everything, expose the empire. I agreed instantly. His motivation ran deeper than duty. He showed an old photo of him and my father in law school robes. We promised to protect each other's families. I failed once letting Damien near Evelyn. Not again. Tears stung my eyes. We strategized airtight evidence, emergency injunction freezing Damien's trust access, internal audit triggered discreetly, presentation to prosecutors. James warned Damien would fight viciously. Stay safe. Vary routines. Document everything. The plan demanded deception. For 3 weeks, I had to appear broken, buying time while James filed motions quietly and contacted suspicious board members like Dr. Elena Vargas, a major investor questioning Marina project numbers. In secret Queen's Cafe meetings, James coached me, apologize convincingly, make him overconfident. Bal rose at the thought. But Sun Tzu's wisdom applied. We needed him arrogant. I approached them at Evelyn's favorite Upper East Side bistro. Eyes downcast. Voice small. Mom.
Damien.
I'm sorry for the scene. Work stress made me lash out. I see now how much you've provided. Damien's eyes gleamed triumphantly. Finally sensible. Prove loyalty by signing this retroactive trust authorization. Exactly as predicted, a document whitewashing his theft. I feigned hesitation. Buying our week. Mom hugged me tearfully, while playing repentant stepdaughter. I returned to the penthouse once under Damien's watch to retrieve belongings. He loomed in the doorway, mocking. Your father would be ashamed. All that education. Yet you don't grasp real power. I bit my tongue, but the hidden recorder in my pocket captured every word, including, that trust was wasted anyway. I built something greater with it. Admission secured. Meanwhile, James assembled forensic accountants and connected with Assistant DA Rachel Kane, specializing in financial crimes. She reviewed my files eagerly, but demanded ironclad proof of intent. My recording sealed it. Protection was arranged, private security, rotating safe houses. The internal audit trigger was timed for a board meeting Damien would miss in Miami. We were closing the net. Tension built as the board meeting approached. I waited in the lobby of Cross Realty's gleaming Midtown Tower as members arrived. Puzzled by the short notice called by Dr. Vargas citing urgent discrepancies. James entered last with document boxes. Nodding subtly, my cue as shareholder representative via Trust Holdings. What's this about without Damien? Demanded Robert Klein.
His ally.
James distributed thick reports titled Evidence of Systematic Fraud at Cross Realty Ventures. Faces paled reading details. $85 million laundered. Phantom $22 million Hudson Project. $45 million trust theft. Klein shouted denial until James displayed signed checks for non-existent work. Explain these, Mr. Klein. The room shifted from shock to outrage. James methodically presented offshore docs. Shell registrations. Timeline of crimes on the screen. Gasps rose at the $130 million total scope. He played my recording, Damien's arrogant voice filling the space. Chaos erupted.
Dr.
Vargas restored order. Contact authorities. James dialed. MS.
Kane.
We're ready. The doors opened. Assistant DA Kane entered with FBI agents and forensic team bearing warrants. We're seizing records and systems. Revoke Damien Cross's access immediately. He's under federal investigation for money laundering, fraud, embezzlement.
Dr.
Vargas complied via speakerphone with IT. Freezing Damien's accounts. Cards. Building access one by one. My phone lit with missed calls from Damien in Miami and frantic ones from Mom. I answer hers. Mom. Damien stole $45 million from Dad's trust and laundered millions more. FBI is involved. Get somewhere safe. She accused me of destruction, but fell silent learning the scale. James emerged. Vargas wants you. The board offered me interim leadership given my expertise and trust stake. Irony burned. Damien had belittled my career. Now they needed it. Kane confirmed warrants covered home office, warehouses, shells,
Gold.
bonds, crypto seized. News broke fast. FBI raids Cross Realty in massive fraud probe. Damien's empire cracked publicly. Mom's world collapsed. Country club revoked membership. Friends vanished. Charity boards distanced. She appeared at my temporary office haggard. Everyone abandoned us. I softened slightly. They were his wealth's friends.
Mom.
He manipulated your love. She admitted pride in my stand, mentioning the looming 35-plus-year sentence possibility. It was the first real acknowledgement. Victor's, no. Damien's, arrest footage dominated headlines, handcuffed at Miami airport. Face twisted in fury. The penthouse swarmed with agents. Mom called repeatedly. When answered, she wept over frozen accounts. I directed her to pre-marriage funds my father set up. Betrayals mounted. 2 more board members resigned over compromised ties. Executives fled. Staff meeting with new interim CEO Vargas addressed 250 anxious employees. Legitimate projects endured. We'd cooperate. Reform. Emerge stronger. Applause started hesitantly, then swelled for honest workers. I worked grueling shifts untangling fraud from viable business, like delicate surgery. Media frenzy labeled me whistleblower heiress. Damien requested a visit at detention. Against advice. I went. In orange jumpsuit. Swagger gone. He sneered. Come gloat. Why wasn't success enough? He leaned in coldly. Your father's money was mine by right. I built magnificence, you'd waste it. I replied. My pathetic skills exposed you. He threatened it wasn't over. I left feeling his power evaporate. He was caged. Empire dust. Bail denied for flight risk. Mom texted come home, but that house was tainted, destined for sale toward restitution. Asset forfeiture completed swiftly. Trust restored at $47.2 million with interest/penalties. Court awarded 51% controlling interest in the company due to criminal misuse and my stake. The board unanimously voted me permanent CEO. I renamed it Reynolds Legacy Development. Erasing Damien's shadow. First acts. Ethics Committee. Transparent audits. Compliance training. Media shifted to redemption stories, stock surged. New affordable housing projects broke ground. 350 jobs created. 6 months post-arrest. The press conference at a Manhattan hotel ballroom marked resurrection.
Dr.
Vargas introduced me, the woman who exposed corruption at personal cost and rebuilt ethically. Applause thundered as I took the podium. This company was built on deception. Today proves truth defeats power. Slides showed 32% revenue growth. 4 real, affordable projects. Community impact. A reporter asked about Damien's 35-year sentence. He faces consequences. My focus is future and service. Rumors of a movie? Stories like this happen daily. May mine inspires speaking truth to power. I announced the Evelyn Reynolds Foundation for legal/financial aid to fraud victims. Mom wept in the audience. Later in my office, with my father's photo replacing Damien's. She visited. Your father would be proud of who you became. She shared a photo of him at his first community project. Plans in hand. You're finishing his vision. Business serving people. A letter arrived from prison. Damien predicted collapse without his creativity. I discarded it. Reforms proved him wrong. Foundation helped dozens. A mayor's call for urban renewal partnerships came in. Answering, I smiled, ready to build genuinely. Damien thought fists and theft could silence and steal. Instead, he ignited justice. The best revenge wasn't destruction but rising higher, rendering him a footnote in a legacy of integrity. Reynolds' legacy breathed freely. My father's dream alive through strength born from betrayal. Truth prevailed. And real work continued.